So an example is here on the TV&Movies app. In the first version, we built it for scanning a lot of content. And so as you can see, we threw a lot of stuff on the screen. There's a lot of images. There's 3 lines of text for every single movie that you're looking at, or TV show in this case. And everything's equal. The weight, the visual weight, everything's bold. The text is almost all the same size. And when you look at users using an application like this, you find that their eyes jump around. They don't really know what to focus on. It's hard for them to parse and hard for them to navigate. So we redesigned this recently in a couple simple ways. One is we got rid of all the text. You don't need the text until you need the text. And we made the central shelf bigger. So the icons are much bigger. And we used this visual hierarchy, meaning the central focus, that central shelf is brighter and the others are dimmer. And then we added hover cards so that if your attention is focused on one thing for more than a second, then more information reveals itself. So these are just a few simple ways in which we made the application feel cleaner and calmer. It delivers just the right information at the right time. The third principle is movement has meaning, and a lot of developers seem to think that animation is gratuitous, and they leave it to the end or leave it out. But we actually use animation in very subtle ways and not so subtle ways to really communicate where somebody is and help guide and orient users. So we do this by creating physical relationships between the objects on the screen, so that the users have a mental model of where everything lives and where it goes. Because, again, we've learned for 100,000 years, physical relationships in real world, that translates well to the screen. So to create an example of that, I didn't have actually a great example of this on the TV that I could have the rights to use. So we created our own little example for you. And I'm going to run it through full-time first, and then I'm going to go back and try to scrub it with my trackpad here. So this is a grid of movies and or TV shows in this case, and we're going to tap. The user is going to click on Dixer, and it's going to have an animation into a shelf mode, and there's going to be piles that open. So you see a few things here. Movies by Ray Fiennes. And we're going to expand back out to the grid. Okay, so what's going on here, I mean, this looks like just animated stuff, but let's see, I've got to do it. I'm not seeing what you're seeing, so I'm going to have to do it here. Okay, so one of these transitions, we'll do the pile animation here. So there's 4 steps to this. So the user is going to click on the pile. Click on the pile. And first thing that's going to happen is the place that it's going to go, the shelf at the top, is going to zoom off to the left. See that? It's going to zoom off to the left at the same time as the pile's opening. Simultaneous to that, the content of this screen is going to fade out. So those 3 things happen simultaneously. And then fourth, the new content fades in. That fades a little fast, but we want it to feel snappy. So this is a great example of the movement giving the user a good idea of the physicality, the physical relationships. You open the pile opens, it goes to a place, you know where it came from, you know how to get back to it. And we actually are building a lot of transitions like this in Google TV now. It actually does require, well, it doesn't require, but we're using OpenGL to do it. So we actually have some developers that know how to do OpenGL. So it helps to have the language, the lower level language, both for speed, but also for things like lighting and transparency, and some of these effects are easier in OpenGL. Okay, the fourth principle is make it personal. Again, you know, we hear this all the time, but one size does not fit all, and yet almost every application that we build is the same for every user. And part of it is because it's hard. And so one of the things that we do is we try to have a little more modest goal, which is a technique we use is to make, just do one thing to make the 10th experience better than the first. Just one thing that makes it personal for this user. And an example, again, from the TV&Movies app, we added this ability recently to add your favorite channels. So you can select, you know, HBO, CNN, Bravo, Discovery, but we don't just show channels. We show what's on that channel at any given time. So that top shelf is what's on my favorite channels right now, all together, all at once. And so every time I come into the app, it feels fresh, it feels personal, it feels like it's made for me. And there are dozens of examples of making apps feel personal, from remembering states to learning behavior to providing new options. But a way that we could go farther with this one, for example, would be if we notice that you're watching basketball a lot, we could offer to make a basketball shelf so that every time you come into this, it's got all your favorite teams right there and who's playing next, where they're playing, and how to get there.